Hi everyone and welcome back to Chess for Charity. Pop quiz for you. It's white to move, and despite being down 27 points of material, they can win. The question is, where does this rook go to deliver mate? Do they go to b2, f2, or somewhere else? Maybe along the a file or somewhere along the second rank. Take a second, think about it. I feel like these two are the only reasonable options, but maybe you'll think otherwise. While you're considering the answer, let me ask you to subscribe if you have not yet already. Half of the income that I earn on this channel goes directly to charity. So every like, every subscriber, all that stuff helps us out so much. We just gave to World Central Kitchen about a week ago, and the charity this month is Feeding America. Okay, so let's see if you can figure out, first of all, the winning move, and second, the best defenses for black. So let's just start with rook f2. I'm going to try to mate you, right? That's the idea. Maybe your thought is, hey, they can throw a bunch of pieces in the way. I can just keep taking them, and like they can drop back, and I can just do this and win. Yeah, sounds good, but it's important to note that's not the case. That's not all forced. Instead, the best move in this position after you play rook f2, aiming at this square, the best move in this position is knight f5, an amazing defensive resource. Now you might say, why is this so amazing? I'll just take it. Well, yeah, but now that knight moving allowed coordination on f4, which means they can play rook f4 and they're watching f8 through your piece, and you lose the game. Now you can take, but now you're going to be the one getting mated, and obviously you can't checkmate them because this is covered. So rook f2 is a losing move because of this fancy knight move. I should also say you can play queen here if you want to be real fancy. Doesn't matter, but you're up so much material as black. Doesn't matter whether you have a queen or a rook at that point. Okay, so then that's the big defensive resource that saves black the game. And you might also say, what about rook f3? Yeah, it's kind of the same idea, like this. Same concept. Still covering, still coordinating. You kind of just flick in that rook for no reason though. The idea is that knight f5 keeps this going. So then what's the move? Well, it's not f2. We should talk about, it's very clearly not any of these squares. Taking here, you can't get more pressure on a7. If only you had like a bishop somewhere like in the corner. But you don't, so there's no reason to talk about it. And this square is the only other one that comes to mind. These squares are all covered. Covered, oops, covered, 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 covered. So these are the only two that we considered. This one's already out because of that knight f4, f5 trick. So now you have to ask yourself, what is the best defense in this case? Well, there are two main defenses, right? You have to block this b8 square. So you either have to pick this rook or that rook. Does it matter which one you pick? Not really, but it helps to talk about the differences. So they're both going to win. So this is the answer. Rook b3, you take it. Rook b4, you take it. And then the bishop can drop back. And you say, oh no, they've plugged up this square. Luckily, I can move my rook this way. Rook, oh sorry, this would also work. g4 is actually the right move. I'm looking at f4. g4 is perfect. Sets me up. I should explain that if you go f4, it still works. It's just not the fastest mate. And my eyes were looking at the engine really quickly. So g4, you can't stop this. c5 just delays the inevitable, which itself is a little irrational. And that's the win. Now you might say, wait a second, I picked this first rook. What if I flip the order? like this. And now, instead of doing it this way, I go here. Very smart move, right? Let's make sure I'm tracking, you're tracking what I'm saying. I made this move. I showed this variation first, but what if I just use the same idea like this? Now I'm covering here. So if I take, now I can drop the bishop back and you don't get to go to this square, right? You can't just take this knight. I was just on b4 and this was free, which led me to back rank. But now doing that in a different order, doing the moves in a different way, I have b3. What's the winning move now? Luckily, rook f3 is the winning try. And there's nothing to do. Knight f5 in this case doesn't do anything because I don't have coordination on this key f4 square. The best that you can do is this kind of thing. So even though this puzzle is kind of simple, I think it's really instructive because it shows you that there's a lot of coordination between pieces. And even in these like last ditch efforts, there's ways to lose. I was surprised when I saw this move thinking, oh, that's easy. This knight f5 defense is just super clever. I love that. But that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoy it. I just kind of find these puzzles to be interesting. Hopefully you learn a thing or two. That's always my goal. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, bye.